Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. And of course, all of you are our co hosts on this channel. And we are continuing our discussion in world building. We here on this side of the interwebs suffer from world builder syndrome. And we are continuing world building using a prompt from the weather. Yes, we are going to world build using weather. And today, can you stand the rain? Let's hit it. So, uh, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Um, if you are a world builder, please join us and bring in your best and brightest. And if you got cobwebs, you're getting a little bit of a uh, a writer's block. You're also welcome here. Hopefully, we can give you some mind fuel to kickstart your creativity. So we're going to use rain as our primary um, factor, descriptor, trait we're going to assign to a world today. Hey, tired, need sleep. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, it has been a little while there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, by the way, I did bring this up in a previous live stream about a game that takes place where it's constantly raining. Now, we know that at some point, if it never stops raining, will we get like a water world situation? I'm going to give us parameters. I'm going to guardrail ourselves and say we still have a landscape, and the rain and the water must go somewhere. Now, if you uh, various places around the world do have semi daily rain, it's not as dramatic as something as, say, torrential rains and such. So we could modulate how much rain and the not just the precipitation, but the um, how does the moisture go away if it ever does, and we can start to describe that. Now, one of the things we really want to do when it comes to assigning a trait in world building is the people, the places, and the things and the ideals of the people that exist in this world. So, an example would be how do people live their normal lives? What kind of adversaries and allies can we find? What about our classic monsters? Are there any differences or new challenges? How about travel and trade and technologies? How do people deal with that? And we can even add other things in there: festivals, death rites, coronations, politics, economies of in various types of scale, and do, start to describe our rainy world in that way. So one of the things I think may be possible is uh, that would have a hard time in a rainy world is the psychological issue of rain. Here we understand that rain technically doesn't have an effect on the body. I mean, we can you can get a little moist and you get the little pruny feel. And yes, there's something known as trench foot and such. But I think rain has a far harsher um, power over the mind, and so dealing with despair and hopelessness may be one of the very things that would adversely affect the people that live in a world where it constantly rains. And so there may be a higher desire to have those who are entertaining or able to alleviate the hopelessness and such, especially if the vast majority of the time will we be able to see much of a difference with the sun up and the sun down if we have a classic cosmological astrological type of world. But uh, dealing with the physicalities of a rainy world, do we have to deal with flooding and mudslides? Are there um, places that are just simply damp and puddle filled, or is this the kind of thing that can destroy, eventually erode and destroy massive castles and structures and take down bridges because of the dislodging of rocky cliff sides that break loose because of the mud and the erosion, sending debris and other things downriver or something. Or maybe there are even collapsed locations that fill in with water, maybe depressions in the ground, valleys, even calderas and other such structures, natural structures around the world in this fantastical world, and eventually those borders may erode and collapse, sending flooding to locations, destroying them. It's possible that when we start world building, that these conditions may not have been eternal. So the rain could have started a predetermined amount of time ago, even one that the current age does not know about, but there may have been things left over from an older age where there wasn't rain or it wasn't as much rain, and that kind of disparity may be something that in creates the reason for adventuring and leaving home and finding a lost age where these conditions didn't exist, and find those things before it all erodes away and is destroyed, like lost libraries or crypts or something like that. Drew says, weird, despite having to deal with chronic depression, I'm sorry about that. Rain is actually something I like and thus does not impede on my mood. The lack of sunshine is the mood affecting issue, I would assume. Yeah, I agree with that as well. I mean, we even use in common parlance, we even use things like, oh, this is a thing to do on a rainy day. Or hey, the rain makes me want to, wrap in an Afghan and Netflix and chill, or a cup of hot coffee or hot cocoa or something like that. And normally it's something to be avoided. I guarantee you that there would be a higher rate of individuals that are not bothered by it, that would be useful in society, when other people, like, they they just give up and whatnot. They may just want to, the aggression, the anger, like I said, the hopelessness and despair may be something that reaches. By the way, side note, I did find the role playing game. Um, it's the role playing game in which the world is constantly raining. Matter of fact, man, you know what? I'll share it out now, just to let you guys take a look at this. So this is the front page of the game known as After the Rain, and here is the location. This is on Drive Through RPG. Uh, let's share this. Let's see if we can share this out. Will it let me share? Come on. Mm-mm-mm. You find this over on Drive Through RPG. It's from Desks and Dorks, and After the Rain is a tabletop role playing game um, about what you would sacrifice. The game is about sacrifice and what you would sacrifice to achieve a goal. And this role playing game is it's pretty dark. Jay says Ed is back. Oh, thank you very much. Algobot checking in. Thank you very much, AI. Thank you very much, robots. I appreciate the automated sentience helping out on the channel. I love that. This game, After the Rain, is it takes a certain type to play this game, and mind you, I'll put the title back up here again. Mind you, does it fall into what we're talking about a little bit? This particular tabletop role playing game, uh, the one constant in this game, and it's not setting specific. This game is rules light. It's like 68, 70 pages long. It is one of those zine style role playing games. And in this particular game, there's always the rain. And the rain is something that is perpetual, constant, and will make you, however the players of this game decide, um, the rain will erode away your connections, your memories, your desire to move forward. And so it's a very simple system. You need about three or four d6s, and you use those to assign yourself traits of any type that the group agrees with. You basically roll four of the dice, you take the highest three, and you assign those numbers, and you write a trait next to those numbers. And every time you try to move forward towards your goal, so it takes place in 3 acts. It's a one-shot game, and it takes place over 3 acts. I lost something. That is very weird. Come on back. I saw it disappear. That's very strange. So, sorry. Maybe I need to make this very quick. So, you assign 3 traits, and every time you engage in something, the trait closest to how you would use that trait to solve an issue, it becomes reduced, and you roll the d6s to see if you succeed or fail in it. But unfortunately, every time you use that trait, it starts dropping lower and lower and lower until it becomes zero. Once it becomes zero, your character no longer has access to, doesn't remember, um, doesn't have a concern about that particular trait. So you could, on your character, have a trait like my family, spouse, children, or something. And you could use that trait to appeal to someone's better nature, or use that trait to in diplomacy or something like that, however you would prefer to use that trait. But remember, if the trait was at 4, it'll drop to 3, 2, 1, and 0. And at the point it drops to 0, you no longer are concerned or care about that thing. And the other players can interact with you like, hey, did you contact your family? Aren't you worried about them? And you're like, my family? Who are you? I'm not worried about my family. Do I even have a family? And at the end of the conclusion of the game, it's a matter of who you were before and what you are now. So it's a game about loss. I suppose you could theoretically, with lateral progression, um, have a campaign of this, but I don't know if you would want to. But that is a version of using the rain as a side effect of telling a story. Just had to get that out there. Let me stop sharing this one as well. Um, Physical aspects of the rain, and yes, there are places that do have rain. Any place that's jungle, rainforest would have lots of precipitation. The state of Florida here in the States is one place that has continual and consistent rain, although it's so hot that for the most part, unless it's hurricane season, usually the rain, the moisture, evidence of the moisture itself doesn't last much more than a few hours at the most. So while there is precipitation, it just evaporates into the atmosphere, and then it just repeats itself over and over again. Um, Now, if we want to make this a lot more invasive, how people survive in this world and how they build structures and things like that might be very important. For example, I can imagine guilds that do nothing but dry out building materials, and and allow the building materials to dry and harden, or are used so that it stays out of the rain. I'm not sure about plant life in this world. Uh, it Thinking of this made me think about the yesterday when we talked about thunderstorms and electrical arcing through the sky, and I was like, I didn't bring it up, and I should have, because of course it always happens afterwards. I was like, what about rubber trees and rubber? And like, would people wrap themselves or come up with like rubberized outfits to stop from being struck by lightning or whatever, or being able to touch electrified uh, place, like objects or things or plants or the ground itself or whatever. And in this world, there may be plants or alchemical formula or something to protect the skin so that the rain uh, oiled cloth is an example that I can think of, like umbrellas and such that are resistant to the moisture that people would wear, big storm cloaks or what have you, that are soaked in some kind of material, or maybe there's natural fibers or plant-like fibers that are resistant to the rain that people would gather together so that they wouldn't have to be besieged by it. Not sure about the temperature. I'm thinking something relatively temperate, although you could range the temperatures up and down, in which case freezing rain is pretty horrible. And a hot rain just makes you feel like I should just put on a bathing suit and be done with it. So there may be some people that like forego even wearing clothing and just wear like something very soft on the feet if that's even necessary, and something to cover the unmentionables, and that would be it. Also, along with the need to dry out materials, so maybe woods and certain types of stones and ceramics and such may be far more valuable because it's necessary to to protect those things. Uh, I can see the value of clean, dry foods, goods, and services may be very expensive in this world because it would be of limited quantity because it's so easy to ruin rations and um, obtain crops that can only grow in dry places. And how do you keep those things from staying dry? Uh, eco ecological terrorism may be a thing by sabotaging different communities. So instead of straight up war, marching across great lands with great armies or something, it may just be taking down dams, ruining people's ability to stay dry by getting their crops or their equipment or something like that wet and having to rebuild all of that stuff. And do that enough times and you may just you could destroy the morale of your enemies far faster than maybe just attacking from a distance. And also, depending on how deep and dark and rainy it is, long distance uh, viewing may be very difficult. So it requires maybe a lot more uh, spy forward. Um, what are what's the term for it? Not just spies, but scouts, forward observers. Forward observing may be very necessary as well. Thinking lanterns, um, umbrella type structures that people may wear over their shoulders that have like a some kind of framework or bone like structure that a person can wear on their shoulders and over their head to keep out most of the rain. Like instead of just using a cloak or an umbrella, maybe people wear like multiple layers of these things. Like, oh no, I've got a cloak on and I've got an umbrella and then I've got something else that's like attached to both my shoulders and my back that I can kind of grab with a little rope or a string and pull over my head to keep the vast majority of the moisture away. Parchment, not sure about that as well. Maybe there are other materials or animal skins or leaves or something that people could write on. Although I could see history being lost very well. So oral histories may be very important as well. It's getting together in these dry locations to exchange information, gossip, uh, important knowledge, town criers and such may be far more important, as well as I wonder if music could be made. We know that there are small fun devices that are made when water drops down on them. It's like the liquid acts as a drum percussion. So music and entertainment may come from that, or to soothe people's minds. And like Drew was mentioning here, lack of sunshine is the mood affecting issue. I would assume the lack of sunshine rather than the rain. But I could see that being an issue. Like there may be other than the classic. apothecary or healer or something healing physical wounds, there may be a necessity to go to a location or a sanctuary or individuals like yet another guild or skill type of people who, those who are suffering from too much of, what would we call this? Something similar to the rain exposure, to center themselves, to get these people centered back on themselves because they know that they are a danger in some way to themselves or others, whether it's simply because uh, of hopelessness and despair or something even more vital to that. Not sure. Also, cartographers, mappers may be a constant necessary skill set, especially if the landscape changes over time. Like I said, due to mudslides, rock falls, collapses, rivers changing pathways, maybe even, which would be a pretty interesting and dangerous thing to happen. That whole waterfalls and river systems and such could sprout up or change path because of the, depending on the intensity of the rain. And flood season may be something that's very common. We have that here on Earth. These flood seasons may come semi-weekly in terms of, depending on the region. The cartographers may also be, and surveyors may be individuals that are um, adept at finding dangers. Like there may be a region to acquire a specific resource, but they know, hey, 3 more days of this rain and that the valley is going to get flooded, and we know that the southern end of the valley is probably going to collapse, and then everything will flood out. I mean, will wash out. So for right now, we can't get to the bottom of the valley. It's flooded, but give it about 3 or 4 days, and we're sure that the southern end is going to collapse and then wash out, and we can get whatever valuable resources there. And again, using it as a tactic to attack or destroy your enemies. There might even be um, enemies of the state that want to sabotage these natural barriers so that the lowlands can get flooded in or something. I would even say that there may even be, given enough water and such, there may be pop up archipelagos. So, 3 weeks ago, you could walk across the rolling hills of the landscape. Now you kind of need boats because they're just these small little islands of dotted throughout this region. So maybe there are uh, boats of various sizes that could be disassembled and assembled together, carried on the backs of individuals, and then uh, lashed, tied, assembled, pegged together very tightly and quickly to navigate through, I don't know, lakes and rivers and streams and uh, island rich locations that weren't there before, but they are there now. Very shallow boats, maybe wide and shallow, like you would find in a swampy, swamp like region. I don't know. Flying, being able to fly. Yes, there are many animals that can fly in rain. Not exactly sure, like ducks, things like that. Not sure how popular that would be. Maybe there are many limitations in terms of how far the travel is, the type of animals that can survive it. Uh, those avians that can dip down into underwater, like penguins and ducks and such. Heck, even some predatory birds, for a limited amount of time, can duck down below the water levels. Puffins, I'm thinking of puffins, can duck down underwater. And so maybe those are the types of animals writ large that could be pets or mounts for a population where it rains so much. Uh, Depending on how much the sun comes out, like a small um, drizzle with some sunshine, maybe time for festivities. We often here I grew up with them being called like sun showers, where usually in the spring or summer, the sun comes out and it's like right at the tail end of some rain. So it looks like it's sunny, but there's still rainfall at the exact same time. And that may be something that happens periodically and is cherished very much as people come out of their homes and hovels and things. Yeah. Planet of the Puffins. Let's see if we can. Let's call up some puffin imagery. Just yeah, just images of the puffins. Yeah, let's pull you up there because they look kind of cool. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. So, let's pick one of you guys. Oh, a big old heart. All right, nah, that's not big enough. That's not big enough. And okay, that's cool. Yeah, these may be like pets or familiars, animals, things like that, sent out to scout as well, which may be a thing. We've seen this in uh, sailing the high seas, where they will let an animal loose and it'll fly back with a twig in its mouth, and that lets them know that if the avians fly away from the ship, that there's land nearby. These animals may be uh, trained to fetch. So as the players and other people in the community travel around in this range wrenched world, they may send these short scouting avians to grab something of importance and bring it back, and that gives them an idea as to what's forward. Is that familiars? I mean, a planet where puffins run the show. Yeah, yeah, they're in control. They're like tiny humans. Feed us. We are we are cute and lovable. Every time somebody big and bad shows up, they're just like, oh, oh, can I just rub your tummy? I just want to scratch your tummy. Yeah. Although I don't know for a fact that they are actually nice animals. They're wild animals. I'm sure they could be pretty. They can be pretty violent when they want to. We just humans like to attribute human activities and traits there. No, hello there, Charlie. Welcome to the show where we world build. Uh, Thinking about cultures and things in this world where it constantly rains, I wonder what kinds of power would we have, like the ability because of the rain and its propensity to put out fires. I wonder if there would be like flame tenders out there. See what I did there? If there would be flame tenders who would put out the rains. So yeah, yeah. There may be flame tenders out there that is very important, and the community needs to protect the central fire because that fire is used to for everything from drying out clothing, drying out wood and stone, ceramics, and muds to build things. Also to stay warm if the rain really saps the cold from your skin and whatnot. Sitting around a big giant everything from a campfire to a forge may be something that it's just the norm to happen. So instead of individual homes, we like these communities may not be individual homes. They may be like concentric circles of protection. So the lower status you are, the further away you are from the central circle. And that circle is also well protected. So, like I said before, with multiple layers of resistance against the rain, maybe the central fire with maybe a small hole up to the sky or some kind of ventilation, maybe there are 4, 5, 6 layers stacked on top of each other to make sure the rain drips off and falls off and falls off. And those that are out on the outside ring basically have no protection whatsoever except for their cloaks. But the further you move in or are allowed socially to move closer in towards the fire, the higher level of skill or influence or promises or connections or I don't know, family ties you have or something like that. Not quite as peace loving as my preferred world world ruler, the giant sponge. Because as you say, a puffin might mess you up. Yeah, especially if depending on the kind of things that they eat. This may be a world where net fishing may be very common, where they set up nets across a river or something like that to catch the fish. Wading through ankle, knee, thigh, waist, chest deep water may be just as common as walking across regular old ground as well. Not sure how this would mix with other temperate areas. Like normally, if we think of torrential rain, we may think of rainforests and jungles, but what is this like in the mountains or across plains or coastal regions, further Arctic regions? Whew, that would be horrible. Or semi-tropical regions. Not sure about the landscape and such. Yeah. Hey, I'm one of those people. Hey, Shy Squad. I'm one of those people that works in the rain. So don't you, what's the term? Rain, sleet, or snow? Let's see. The I'm surprised I don't remember the postal mantra. Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds. United States Postal Creed. Written on the back of a napkin because after they built the New York postal building or something, the architect said it was missing something, and he wrote it on the back of a napkin over dinner. Yes. So uh, let me replace this with this. Dojo Breaker says there's a game called Before the Storm, with the whole world constantly being rained on with seasonal differences. It's a rogue-like city builder. You said Before the Storm? I have After the Rain as mine, but let's go find this damn thing. Because after some searching, this is what I found. I'll put the link. You know what? Matter of fact, I'll put the link here from a drive through. And you said Before the Storm. I want to pop that in here. Before the Storm. Where is it? Life is Strange. No. Episodic adventure game. Life is Strange Before the Storm. RPG Geek 2016. Picking through the creator's history. I'm finding something. I'm finding something else. Uh, Pelgrane Press. Just let me know. Oh, no, thank you there. Yeah, yeah. Best carry award as you walked by, shaking your head. Your crazy friends immediately. Oh, I hope that's a compliment. Thank you very much. For some reason, the rain, this game after the rain just keeps washing away. I wonder if it's against the storm. Okay, all right, no big deal, no big deal. Let's see, against the storm. Uh, okay, there's one on stream. Okay, okay. City Builder. Okay, I get it. Dark fantasy city builder where you rebuild civilization in the face of apocalyptic rains. As the Queen's viceroy, lead humans, beavers, lizards, foxes, and harpies to reclaim the wilderness and secure a future for civilization's last survivors. Harpies. I wonder, I suppose we could populate our entire world with with things that are used to living in the rains. Nah, you're okay there, Dojo Break. And populate those things like the puffins, which are cute-ish, and populate the world with those kind of animals and creatures and things that are used to surviving in this kind of environment, as well as the fact that um, whatever kinds of powers that are out there in the rain would be pretty interesting to create. Like we gave we tinged our thunderstorm world with some sentience. I wonder if the rains themselves could have varying types of uh, detail. So follow me on this downward spiral. So there are, when we think of snow, there are various types of snow. There's a wet snow, there's a dry snow, there's small snowflakes and flurries, there's thick. So the rain itself, just like we can have little sun showers all the way to torrential rains with a lot of wind, the rain moves sideways. You can have small little sprinkles and downpours. There's acid rain and such. So we could add texture to the rain, and therefore that texture could give us different aspects of the rain. Like, for example, there may be a seasonal effect of some sort with like more of an acid rain where there is no travel and everyone remains very much hidden and underneath all their protections, or caves networks, or buildings with giant tents, or whatever the case may be, for these groups of people, maybe semi-nomadic as well. And maybe there's a strange combination of land nomadicy and river, lake, ocean going populations as well. Uh, Heck, maybe homes are built on top of rafts because at any moment, someone's home may go sliding away or floating away. So everyone already sets up a wooden pallet floating thing, and then you build your home on top of it, at whether it's temporary or not. And that way, if it does start to rain and people start to flow away, um, get washed away, they know that as the rains go, they will float. It could even be predictable. So enemies away from to keep enemies away from the population, maybe making camp in lowlands, knowing the rains will lift you up, so that everyone will be floating in a small lake that wasn't there before. Could be a cool way of keeping yourself safe and separate. Which would also be, I'm actually with you there, Drew. Since I love drizzling rain, especially in the summer. I'm with you on that. Yeah, yeah. It's not all rain to me isn't depressing. It's just when it's very consistent, especially as someone that works in it. There, sometimes people will say, "Well, how do you stay dry?" And the answer is, you don't. TNS says it'd be terrible if all the torrential rain was heavily acidified. The weather reports would be way more interesting. Is it rain or is it the terrible acid rain? Get your washing in. Yeah, yeah. Like maybe there are like weather predictors. Like there's a cleansing rain, and if we're doing a fantasy world, the cleansing rains may be ones of healing and atonement and such. Whereas there's more destructive rains, ones that literally destroy the environment, lifting trees and collapsing hillsides. And then there are more like acidic rains that eat away at the foundations of materials and people's personalities. And instead of classic like ghosts or something like that, maybe there are like living rains, things that if there's enough rain, something will live and grow from the rain itself, returning back to society from whence it came. Uh, a a murdered victim returning from the rain itself to exact revenge on the person that committed such heinous acts or something like that. DB says, I'll make a world with an alchemic apocalypse where alchemical components are incredibly important to the ecosystem. So I'm imagining different kinds of wet snow that are actually moist salt flakes. Ooh, nasty, but cool though, right? I mean, who's to say a world that's constantly raining something didn't happen from an apocalypse? That's how dark sun began as an aside in the world of Greyhawk, bottom left corner of the Greyhawk map, if you ever take a look at it. Um, and that bottom corner of the map was called the Reign of Colorless Fire. So, like I said, this didn't have to be something that happened for a millennium. It could have just happened 2 generations ago or more. And it was something that someone did somewhere else. And now we're just living through the repercussions of it. So, again, in world building, and it doesn't even have to be permanent. Who's to say in the next 4 generations it ends and you're done? Like an ice age. The people living through an ice age may think it's eternal, but it does have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And how long that lasts just depends on the people. So everything from famine and heck, there. What do we have here in the states? The black blizzards. The black blizzards where farmers were and their livestock were dying from the blizzards of dust and dust and debris raining across the Midwest of the United States. I'm sure people then didn't think it would end, but it did. It did at a certain point. Let's see, longest rain storm in history. Let's see if we can find this here. Mm-mm-mm-mm. An incredible 331 consecutive days of measurable rainfall were recorded at Manawili Ranch, Maui, in 1939 to 1940. And the AI overview says there are multiple records for the longest rainstorm in history, including the longest continuous rainfall and greatest rainfall in a day. Longest continuous rainfall, oh, they're saying 881 consecutive days, which occurred from 1913 to 1916 in Honomumaki, Oahu, Hawaii. This record includes any trace of rain. That's any trace. Greatest rainfall in a day is 1,825 millimeters, or 71 inches, almost 72 inches of rain, which fell in Fok La Réunion, an island in the Indian Ocean, January 7th to 8th, 1966. This record was set during the passage of tropical cyclone Denise. So this rain came from an outside, from a cyclone. World record rainstorm in Holt, Missouri, 304 millimeters or 1 foot of rain in 42 minutes. Damn. Carnian pluvial event, 232 million years ago, saw a shift from arid conditions to a prolonged phase of intense rainfall that lasted between 1 and 2 million years. So it depends on your concept of what a lot of rain is. That's pretty interesting. Very interesting. I think the types of important types of powers here may be those that, like, I imagine someone that is able to create an invisible rain shield for themselves may be very important. Not sure what kind of magical power that would be, but it would be pretty interesting for that to happen. I wonder if diverting rain like that would just be something like a force field. Like, hey, let's just divert the force field away. Let's share this out here. There we go. Or is the rain disappearing and going somewhere else? I wonder what type of defensive, um, proactive and defensive weaponry someone would have in a rain-filled world. I mean, it would be very difficult to set things on fire, but I'm sure fire would be very important. Maybe not as a weapon, but as a thing people might want to steal. A person who can make fires, someone who is able to find the proper foliage to dry out, uh, just so that they can start fires themselves. Um, like an oasis, maybe volcanic regions or other. I'm trying to think of other flame like hot places that could dry things out that are natural. Like I was thinking of a hot spring, but that's not going to dry things out. Although maybe a hot spring or volcanic area has a way for someone to maybe dig a hole or vent to a place where it's expelling lots of warm air to dry out food like meats and leathers, animal skins, so that they are useful parchments and things like that for useful for communication and writing histories and things of that nature. That may be very important. If people are semi nomadic, they may go to place that has dry locations that they don't want to overhunt and gather in, or um, population growth may be a reason to leave certain areas, or maybe it takes a bit of time to dry something out. So it's better to allow 5 weeks to go by, and in that interim, everyone has to leave first to allow a place to become allow a place to dry out. Also, it may be um, surveyors may say, okay, that those craggy hills, they're going to collapse. So we're going to leave. But when we come back, I'm sure there are empty cavities in there that normally we wouldn't be able to get into. So when we come back after 5 weeks, we'll try to find a haven there. And then maybe they send their forward scouting group that goes back and reports back and like, yes, the crags are open. We can go inside and make some homes inside of this place, knowing full well that at the bottom of this valley, eventually it might lift and flood itself or something like that. Pretty interesting. I also think that as far as like dangers, monsters, adversaries, factions, or whatever, there may be deals to coincide with people that have certain particular skills for trade, for temporary alliances and such. Like I don't know, someone is able to find some type of, or like one group uses trident net style hunting and attacks, whereas another group uses a uh, distance thrown, I don't know, ooze from certain plants or animals that are out there. There may be, imagine birds that make upside down nests that don't collect water, but they actually keep place dry. And whenever they lay their eggs, they build an upside down nest first. That's like a hand built umbrella for that kind of protection for the eggs. And maybe these, let's see, maybe the puffin the puffin contingent the people love to collect near where the puffins are. And I don't know, I'm picking with puffins. Let's see, top 10 animals that love the rain. Let's see if that's a real thing. Let's share this out. Here are some animals that enjoy the rain. Ducks, small migratory water birds, rails, and wood ducks enjoy the rain because wetlands are recharged and full, allowing them to rest, forage, and feed. Snails, ooh, snails can feel the ground trembling when it rains and like to come out of their shells. The rain helps them to slither around. Elephants and rhinos, these animals enjoy the rain because it provides a break from the warm weather. Insects like dragonflies, these insects thrive in cold and moist environments. Peafowl, which I don't know, but the word fowl comes to mind. Birds. These animals welcome the monsoon. Turtles. These animals can easily be spotted during the monsoon season. And fan-throated lizards. These lizards come out during rains. Also worms, because they drowned, I believe. Animals in the rain. This one says, through observation, I found elephants to be one of the more active animals on rainy days. You often find them swimming. Let's see. That's pretty interesting. If we take into account animals that love the rain. Maybe there are specialized exotic animals that use it for their the puffin extravaganza. Yeah, I wonder if oh, we got to put the puffins back up. Here we go. I wonder if there is a propensity for some of these animals to use the water and the rain to their advantages. Like for example, we often hear of elephants are able to absorb, like a straw, suck in the water and then spray it out. Maybe there are animals like what's the Dungeons and Dragons animal? The dragon turtle that can breathe out steam. So maybe there are animals that can like suck up the water and use it as a force to knock things out of the sky, or blast away foliage, or blast away the soft earth because that's where they're going to make their home, or to clean themselves. Maybe there are animals that shed their shell or skin, but it's extremely resistant to the weather. Heck, there may be even animals that, like snails and hermit crabs or something like that, that really don't like the rain, but they find some types of shell or something like that in the environment, or are able to excrete something that hardens, that they then hide inside of, and are able to and they live inside of it and move it around with them, or they're able to leave it, move about the world, and then go back inside of their uh, carrying haven, let's say, and carry it with them. I was thinking about that when it comes to an umbrella like structure that people could carry on their backs that looks like wings, like pulling a rack and you have like mechanical wings, but they're not really wings. You just Someone's just carrying on their back, and when they pull it, it actually surrounds them inside of like a personal framework of a tent that goes around their body, or what have you. Communication. Hmm. Smoke would be difficult, but possible. Sound may travel, but I can see messengers being far more important. Um, the Heck, there may even be the overgrowth of foliage. I think in this kind of world, while there are many plants that will just be washed out because of too much rain, there are lots of plants, especially like in rainforests and jungles and swamps and things, that love all the moisture. So this world, navigating this world, might have world trees in which the I'm imagining the root structures of a swamp or a rainforest, but people are in these shallow boats sailing between and underneath the giant roots of of the swamp like regions. And that these like giant massive trees and plants and vines and things grow everywhere. So that may also be a thing that's uh, uh another danger in the world, are all of the plants, and maybe it's very prehistoric. Maybe the world, no matter how forward moving society keeps trying to become, it's very prehistoric in its nature, and that might be an issue. Heck, knights riding dinosaurs may be a thing. I know some people just can't. What are the top three things people hate in role playing games? Mixing in their fantasy, mixing firearms, mixing dinosaurs, and maybe there's a third one. You tell me what the third one is. I'll put the first two here in the chat. I'll put firearms, dinos, and I don't know. I don't. What would a third one be that people are like completely divided on in tabletop role playing games? Uh, I don't know. A little bit addicted to the puffins here. So let's bring it. Let's bring this. Make this a little bit dour, shall we? Um, I can see the evidence of lots of things being washed away in the rain, and there may be some social aspects attached to it, meaning like um, punishment, forgiveness, um, legalese, like legal structures, things like that, there may be a saying like it lasts as long as the rain, or or something of that nature, meaning like when the evidence of a thing washes away, the thing never happened. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, technology should be a sticking point. Yeah, like yeah, futuristic sci-fi shit. That's all from Magic, like Spelljammer. Yeah, or technology. Yeah, just going like us, because like some people, Eberron rubs them the wrong way, which is like a very magic tech, magitech type of environment uh, that was taken too far. I even thought, well, you know what? Never mind. I'll save that for next week. Um, how we can make our own Eberron. For those who don't know, Eberron was created from a contest. Jim Baker, uh, of Keith Baker. Damn it! How many different first names can I say? Yeah, Keith Baker. Um, Game designer created. Okay, let me see if I can read this here. Keith Baker is an American game designer and fantasy novel author. In addition to working with Wizards of the Coast on the creation of Eberron, he has also contributed material for Goodman Games, Paizo Publishing, Green Ronin Publishing, and I'm sure created many, many things thereafter. And much like talking about a world where it constantly rains and things not being very permanent, the Eberron setting was created from a contest in which he extrapolated what would our fantasy world be like if the presumed assumptions in magics in our fantasy gaming became more ubiquitous. So, ever burning torches, healing spells, um, floating disc spells became very common. And I thought, hey, we could even do that on a channel where we take things like we make something ubiquitous in the world and then we shape a world around it. Anything from like minotaurs and things like that. Now, we did a series on monster types in fantasy, like oozes, giants, dragons, but we could get more specific and stuff. Yeah, Shice is like, yeah, Rifts and Shadowrun, mixing magic, dwarves, elves, halflings with hardcore future real world. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that does rub some people the wrong. Like you either are for it or against it. I'm actually for it because I like different things like that. But lastly, I would say there may be aquatic, along with the. All right. I'm going to connect these two things together, though they don't need to be. So, in a world of constant rain, and the idea that the rain washes away evils, morality, histories, a thing never happened. Murders that happen out in this rain-filled world may seem like they never existed in the first place, which sounds like it would alleviate people from the consequences of their actions. And so magic may be similarly done in the sense of maybe there are very few, if any, permanent magics at all. Uh, it's, hey, I use this magic to charm someone or create a force field or um, I don't know, use it to blast something or whatever, and the rain itself may literally, if not even figuratively as well, wash that thing away. Yes, you control the ogre, but slowly the ogre starts blinking his eyes as the rain falls down on his head, and you can literally see the arcane thing washing out of the ogre's eyes as there are none, if very few, permanent styled magics. So in this world, there might be like instead of the easy button of just my magic just works and there's no costs, maybe there's a random die roll. Roll a d10. That's how many rounds it lasts. That's it. You don't have a choice. Fire magics probably get wiped away pretty easily in this wet world where maybe pyromancers are valued, but they're also not very powerful because you can't really set anything on fire. Maybe everyone has advantage on their saving throws in a D20 system. They all have resistance. It's all half damage, half damage, half range, half effectiveness, right? That's a possibility as well. Um, uh, Bringing light to the world, maybe without a fire. Will-o-wisps, light spells without the fire. Daylight may be very important, and uh, the powerful, the rich, the influential may have those things available to them. I suppose you could even measure power and influence by the number of layers one has away from the rain. So, like a complete guild of those who not just carry umbrellas, but carry things to keep other people from getting wet. Like, um, oh, maybe there are people who literally have baskets of. You've seen weddings where someone is the flower boy, flower girl, where they just throw petals in front of them. Maybe there's something that's thrown in front of people's feet that keep their feet dry, or maybe people just don't bother wearing shoes in this world. The the carrying of something to keep people dry as they walk around, or maybe they're on a mount or something like that. They get 4, 6, 8 individuals that basically hold up these collapsible tent like things to cover people's heads, and their whole job is to keep people keep the important, noble, rich, powerful, influential, uh, scary, threatening individuals dry in this wet type world. I wonder if there are oracles that knew or know what the world looks like without the rain, and they paint murals and describe a world in which there isn't any rain, and people gather together to listen to or imagine themselves in a world with the rain that's available. I suppose a very, very rare, I don't know, power creature or something would be one related to the sun. And the sun, its warmth, its dryness, and maybe there are rare people born, or there's a religion that adopts this kind of thing where from their eyes and their very body, or maybe they walk around with a sun sphere floating over their shoulder, and those people are like are the closest to divinity that we can imagine this world being. Don't know what the world would be like before the rains, but I could see the rain being a cool factor as adding time pressure to the world. So, for example, the players want to go down in a crypt, but it could flood, or they have to. Um, there is a uh, hidden community that's been overgrown, not community, a empty city or something, and features of it are eroding as the PCs are there, collapsing, giant statues falling in upon themselves, deep passages that are flooding or are have flooded, will flood, or may collapse down deep in the reaches. I can see molds and mildew and fungus growing on the sides of things, and that being an issue as well. Maybe there are a people that allow fungus and mold to grow on their skin, like fur or hair growing on their heads and cheeks, on their shoulders and down their forearms and such. And it could be a symbiotic or even a parasitic relationship, like maybe undead vampires, things like that exist, but they're more plant-like origin rather than necrotic, black and gray and dry. Maybe it's more instead of necrotic, maybe it's more aquatic in its depiction and such. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Really appreciate it. Got to head out. Sorry about that. Real life calls. So I want to thank all of you for being part of the show. Again, I did put this in the uh, link. I will put the link again to this role playing game. Let's see. Let's go ahead and copy this. And this is a role playing game about a world which includes the rain. This is more of a This game is more of a delve into loss and sacrifice more than the rain itself, but the rain is a trait given to the world in which it is constantly raining, and how does that rain affect the story that the players tell. It's pretty interesting, a little dark, quite a bit dark, because it is about loss. Every time you take an action, you lose a piece of yourself, eventually losing it completely. And so if you're someone who likes to tell games or wants to run short role playing games about personal motivation, loss, and what it takes to sacrifice, what you're willing to sacrifice to achieve a goal, maybe this is the kind of game for you. Uh, but if you're more into the explorative nature of the game, hey, build a world around the weather. Why not? But by the way, this was sparked by delving into Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight slash Mistborn slash Cosmere world, and it made me think, because I was like, oh, I love shaping worlds that are different, like with Stormlight, a world that's ravaged by these storms. And I like it. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for spending your valuable time here. If you've come this far, please like, share, subscribe, blah blah blah. Call to action. You'll see that in the outro. And also, if you're spending your valuable time here, I hope in return I can make some change for your tabletop role playing experiences. So, thank you very much. Have a great day. I'll see you later. See you tomorrow. 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in RPG with DBJ. Thank you, guys. Have a great one. I'll see you later. Bye.